Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ecolab Auditorium within the Marriott Pavilion at the Culinary Institute of America. In the unlikely event of an emergency, please locate your closest emergency exit, located to the front, rear, and sides of the auditorium. It is also appreciated if you would take a moment to silence your cell phones at this time. Ladies and gentlemen, in attendance this evening are a number of distinguished guests and elected officials. Please hold your applause as we invite them to stand. Representing Congressman Sean Patrick Maloney, Paige Banfield. Representing Congressman Antonio Delgado, Natalie Stewart. Representing U.S. Senator Charles Schumer, Megan Glander. Representing New York State Governor Andrew Cuomo, Dylan Mayoshi. Representing New York State Comptroller Tom DiNapoli, Matthew Martini. Representing New York State Assemblymember Dee Dee Barrett, Gunnar Warden. New York State Senator Sue Serino. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our county-wide elected officials. Show your appreciation for Dutchess County Sheriff Adrian Butch Anderson. Dutchess County District Attorney Bill Grady. Dutchess County Clerk Brad Kendall. Dutchess County Comptroller Robin Lois. Dutchess County Court Judge and Acting New York State Supreme Court Justice, the Honorable Peter Foreman. Dutchess County Surrogate Court Judge, the Honorable Michael Hayes. Dutchess County Family Court Judge, the Honorable Denise Watson. Dutchess County Family Court Judge, the Honorable Tracy McKenzie. Dutchess County Family Court Judge, the Honorable Jeffrey Martin. Ladies and gentlemen, also joining us this evening, please show your appreciation for the members of the Dutchess County Legislature, led by Chairman Greg Pulver. Please stand and be recognized. Ladies and gentlemen, please show your appreciation for the town supervisors and village and city mayors in attendance this evening, along with the local members of the judiciary. Please stand and be recognized at this time. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, representing our host this evening, the Associate Vice President and Dean of Student Affairs for the Culinary Institute of America, Dr. Kathy Merget.
Well, good evening. It's a pleasure to welcome you on behalf of our president, Dr. Tim Ryan, who's currently off campus attending our Board of Trustees meeting. For those of you who have been to the CIA before, it is always a pleasure to have you back on our campus. And for those of you who it's your first visit to this campus, we certainly welcome you and welcome you back. The CIA is proud to be an integral part of the fabric of Dutchess County since 1972. And prior to 1972, the cooking school was located in New Haven, Connecticut, first in a former bar renamed the New Haven Restaurant Institute, and then on the grounds of Yale University, sandwiched between the School of Forestry and the School of Divinity. But we found our home in Dutchess County. The CIA was founded by two women, Frances Roth and Catherine Angel. Mrs. Roth became one of the first women admitted into the Connecticut State Bar Association, and Mrs. Angel was the wife of the president of Yale University. The mission then was to train veterans coming back from World War II. But our strongest roots are in Dutchess County. We have over 500 employees here, 3,000 students, 50,000 alumni, many of you who have probably eaten at their venues before, and about 250,000 visitors annually between tourists, restaurant patrons, cooking class enthusiasts, and certainly prospective students. We hope that you do find a moment tonight to feel like a tourist here and look around this beautiful building, just to start with. First, check out the paintings to the left and to the right of you by an artist named Giuseppe Arcimbaldo, who created imaginative portrait heads made entirely of objects such as fruits, vegetables, flowers, fish, and books. Or take the stairs to the lower level and check out Lou's Wall, a 33-foot wide, 8 feet tall creation by legendary CBS art director and designer Lou Dorfman. It consists of more than 1,650 individual letters spelling out culinary terminology and expressions, as well as 65 food-related objects. Speaking of tourist and tourism, the CIA would like and love, actually, to take this opportunity to thank Mary Kay Verba for your dedication to all things Dutchess County and for your wonderful partnership with us here at the CIA. Well wishes for a very terrific retirement, and please don't forget to circle back and take that very long overdue cooking class you've always wanted to do. And we have a seat for you always here at our table. We hope that you all visit our campus often and experience the brilliance of a meal prepared by the next succession to the food service industry, our students. Again, welcome, and I hope and trust that today's program will be a great success. All the best.
Dutchess County's Think Differently initiative is making a difference in the lives of differently abled individuals throughout our community. Tonight, we share a video, already viewed by more than 100,000 people, of Jonah Violet Super, who recently celebrated her first paycheck from her job at Target.
How much is it?
$148.
Uh-huh.
That's how much I made?
Yep.
Wow.
What do you think of that?
That's crazy.
You excited?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You want to work some more?
Ladies and gentlemen, we are honored to have Jonah Violet Super and her family in attendance this evening. Please welcome her to the stage and rise as she leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Jonah Violet Super. Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated at this time as we welcome Rabbi Rennie Altman from Vassar Temple in Poughkeepsie to offer this evening's invocation.
We gather here tonight for this annual rite to hear our county executive reflect on the state of our county and share his vision for the coming year. We join together at a propitious time in our nation. An ever-growing political divide pits neighbor against neighbor. A venom of hate festers, reaching unprecedented levels of expression. The security we once took for granted in our communities, in our schools, and even in our places of worship has been shaken. How can we turn this tide? Let us turn to one another. As we come together on this night, so may we join hands to build bridges of understanding that can traverse this widening chasm threatening our union. Let us raise our voices to celebrate and welcome the diversity that is Dutchess County as it is the United States of America. May we seek to understand rather than denigrate those who are different from us, seeking common bonds even as we learn to appreciate our differences, for it is in the spaces that divide us that hate takes root. When we have the courage to stand united, when we speak out against the language and actions of hate whenever or wherever we hear or see it, then indeed will the words of our signs ring true, that hate has no home here in Dutchess County. On this coming Sabbath, the scriptural passages to be read in synagogues will be from the book of Exodus, the chapters immediately following the giving of the Ten Commandments. They include basic laws of responsibility toward one another, essential guidance needed for this population of former slaves to become a people, one that lives by principles of justice. Within these laws is the first of more than 36 times that the Torah commands us regarding treatment of the stranger. You shall not wrong a stranger, nor should you oppress him, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. Having known the plight of the stranger, we are obligated to reach out to her. We are responsible for her, for she is among the most vulnerable among us. And it is only when the most vulnerable among us are secure that we can call ourselves a compassionate and just society. As we look ahead toward the coming year, let us pray for this county and for its officials, all of the dedicated servants who have taken on the noble mantle of leadership. May they govern with justice and compassion. May they heed the call of the biblical prophet Amos, whose words inspired the great civil rights leader, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., that we may yet fulfill his dream for our nation, to let justice roll down as waters, righteousness as a mighty stream. May their hands and hearts be strengthened in their dedication to serving and protecting the people of this county, that all may live in peace and security. May they guide us toward a vision for a better tomorrow. We pause for a moment of private prayer or personal reflection. To these prayers we say, Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is appropriate to show your appreciation for Rabbi Rennie Altman at this time. Please welcome Dutchess County's Poet Laureate, Raphael Kosek, to the stage.
I'd like to briefly thank Marcus Molinaro, Dutchess County Arts Mid-Hudson, for elevating the arts. As a favorite poet of mine, Jane Kenyon, once opined, the media brings us news of the outer world, but art, all the arts, bring us news of the inner world, and we need that very much. My poem is called Something to Love, and I chose an epigraph from a favorite writer, Annie Dillard, who says, "Give me time enough in this place, and I will surely make a beautiful thing." And we live in a beautiful place. Something to love. When the artist touches brush to canvas, or the poet puts words to paper, she is committing an act of hope. She is reaching out to another, declaring, "I am here in this place. Here is my story. Perhaps you will find a piece of you in it." So there must be something to love here. Maybe the river my father swam across from Beacon to Newburgh as a boy, arm over arm, slicing the water, bent on a navigable future, not coming home until twilight when the waves grew chill. Could it be my mother's story of Eleanor Roosevelt, laughing at the rooster who chased her at my grandparents' Dutchess tea room when she stopped on her way to Hyde Park? A woman who was above all approachable, shoring up spirits during the Great Depression. Was it the excitement I felt as a child, unearthing an ancient horseshoe from our backyard, which was once a field where Washington's troops raced their horses while the nascent nation struggled into being? Surely there is something to love here, the heft and promise of that history, combined with my own personal thread of falling unfailingly in love with a sky that bends over us, reeling out its breathless mural, the river with its deep promise of distance, even if I don't go very far, and the bluebirds right outside my window, balancing on the winter suet cakes. I can never really believe how blue they really are. Thank you.
Offering a prayer for our community from the Calvary Chapel of the Hudson Valley in Poughkeepsie, Associate Pastor Nick Santo.
Would you please bow your heads with me? Father, we come to you this evening, and we want to begin by giving thanks for your grace, favor, and kindness upon our nation, and especially our county in New York. We enjoy a level of freedom, prosperity, and community that is becoming increasingly rare, but we know those things come from you, and we're grateful. We want to thank you tonight for the current governing body of Dutchess County, for the strong leadership and character of our county executive, the diligent service and dedication of the county legislature, and of all those that contribute in every sector and on every level of county leadership. We ask you that you would give each of them continued strength and vision, protection, and clear, decisive leadership in the days ahead. We want to ask for your blessing on the various sectors of the county that make Dutchess a great place to live. We pray for the various law enforcement agencies, the hospitals and healthcare providers, the first responders, the faculty and students at each of our colleges and schools, both public and private, and also those that build and maintain our vast infrastructure. We pray tonight for the local churches, pastors, and places of worship, that the light of truth and love would continue to shine and provide the help that people need. We put before you our youth, the coming generation, that they would be protected and that they would find their way in a confusing world, and that we would have wisdom to guide them as they grow. We are also conscious of those that are suffering in our county. We pray for those that are addicted, mentally ill, unemployed, homeless, facing tragedy or hard times, that you would give them the help that they need and give us the wisdom, resources, and the compassion to do all that we can to help. And finally, we pray for the future blessing and prosperity of Dutchess County, that you would be our protection in an uncertain world, that we would continue to grow, thrive, and build upon the good standing we enjoy today, that as a people you would keep us unified, that we would be diligent, holding honorable values, a people of compassion, empathy, understanding, and acceptance, that every citizen of this great county would feel heard, included, and welcomed here, that Dutchess County would increasingly be a place that we are blessed to call home. It's for and in these things that we ask your blessing. In Jesus' name, amen.
Show your appreciation for Associate Pastor Nick Santo. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage members of the Poughkeepsie-based band Ilharmonic, featuring Nyesha Chanel, Rose Mariah Garcia, and Angel Henderson, performing this evening under the direction of founder Tim McQueen.
You can win as long as you keep your head to the sky. Be optimistic when in the midst of sorrow. You can't see up when looking down. The brighter day tomorrow will bring. Hey, yeah. You hear the voice of reason telling you that this can never be done. No matter what tomorrow will bring, just hold on to your dreams. Don't give up and don't give in. Although it seems you never win, you will always pass the test as long as you keep your head to the sky. You can win as long as you keep your head to the sky. You can win as long as you keep your head to the sky. Be optimistic. If things around you crumble, no, you don't have to stumble and fall. Keep pushing on and don't you look back. Oh, feel. I know the storms and strife cloud up your outlook on life. Just think ahead and you'll be inspired to reach higher and higher. You will always do your best if you learn to never say never. You may be down, but you're not out. And that's when I will lift you up. Don't give up and don't give in. Although it seems you never win, you will always pass the test as long as you keep your head to the sky. You can win as long as you keep your head to the sky. You can win as long as you keep your head to the sky. You can win as long as you keep your head to the sky. Let's clap. You can win as long as you keep your head to the sky. You can win as long as you keep your head to the sky. Be optimistic.
Ladies and gentlemen, our Dutchess County Executive, Marcus J. Molinaro.
Thank you. Thanks. They were going to have me walk into that music, but I decided against it, I think with some smoke and lights, but I thought that was pretty good. Would you join me in extending our appreciation to the folks here at the Culinary Institute of America for once again hosting us, and thank all of the people involved in organizing tonight's State of the County. We're very appreciative of all of you. Thanks very much. So that I don't forget, let me absolutely acknowledge that Dutchess County is led by a number of elected officials of all political parties, backgrounds, ages, race, colors, creeds, and we are very blessed to have each and every one of you in service. So to the supervisors and mayors, our local elected officials, our members of the judiciary, thank you very much. And to the partners that I serve in countywide office, I am tremendously grateful. Each of us, I think, relies on each other for advice and counsel, but I think each of us considers each other a friend. So to my dear friend Brad Kendall and to District Attorney Bill Grady, our County Comptroller Robin Lois, and of course the Sheriff of Dutchess County, Butch Anderson, thank you all for your service and commitment to the people of Dutchess. The video you saw included, obviously, many accomplishments over these last several years, and we couldn't have achieved any of it were it not for the commitment, dedication, and, by the way, prodding and agitation at times, but mostly the leadership of each and every member of the Dutchess County legislature individually and collectively, led now by Chairman Greg Pulver, and thank you as well. When I served in the New York State Assembly, I used to say the best part of going to Albany was coming home again. I can tell you over these last 2 years, quite honestly, the best part of not going to Albany is being home again. And thank you all for making this such a special place to call home. The great poet T.S. Eliot wrote, "Home is where one starts from. It's where all journeys begin, the foundation upon which a life is built, a safe place to rest, rejuvenate, and find the strength to carry on. A true home is where love resides and dreams are born. It's where we feel the most free, where we are our truest selves, where it's safe to disagree and argue, but also to compromise and heal. The power of home is not mystical or magical. It is simple. It is a simple and essential feeling of stability and safety. Each of us prospers when we have a place to call home. We flourish when our basic needs are met. We climb when we have a foothold. We love, we cherish, and we grow when we are secure. The challenge is to make our community, a home for everyone. To ensure those in need have both a safety net and a ladder. To provide our residents with the opportunities to succeed and skills to flourish. To create a sense of belonging and stability, and to foster hope. A strong community, a resilient and open community, is the fertile ground where not just houses are constructed, but where homes are built. Home is where we begin. And so, let us begin. A few weeks ago, as I took the oath of office for the third time, I promised this new term, this new year, was going to be about taking on the big challenges, helping those too often forgotten, and setting the bold goal of doing as President Lincoln said, and elevate the condition of men, to lift artificial weights from all shoulders, to clear the paths of laudable pursuit for all, to afford all an unfettered start and a fair chance in the race of life. In other words, to provide an opportunity for all, regardless of who you are, where you come from, to whom you pray, or who you love, your station of birth, or your perceived ability to support building a meaningful life as you define it. And so with this broad and bold goal in mind, it is essential we address one of the most pressing and complex problems facing communities across America: the housing and homelessness crisis. From 2018 to 2019, Dutchess County experienced an 18% increase in our homeless population. As of December 31st of 2019, our Department of Community, Family, and Services was providing placements for 80 homeless families, 101 homeless singles, and 1 couple, all here in our community. And yet these numbers don't give you the full picture of this multifaceted problem. The face of homelessness has changed. The problem is different today than it was 20 or 30 years ago, before the last real estate bubble, before the acceptance of addiction as an illness, before the closure of mental health institutions across the state of New York, and before this strong economy. The needs of those neighbors relegated, often by the cruel fate of circumstance, to sleeping in crumbling buildings, emergency shelters, or motel rooms, are more complex than ever. Between July and September of last year, 63% of adults and 22% of children in federally funded housing programs reported at least one health condition, with the most common co-occurring being mental health and substance use. Many of the individuals placed by our Department of Community and Family Services are employed. Many have been exposed to physical or emotional trauma. Homelessness was never simple, but the problem has become more vexing, varied, and recalcitrant. Because it is our duty to protect and preserve life, and because the precious gift of life is to be lived and not merely survived, we will confront this intractable problem. After all, what kind of home would we be if we did nothing? Working to end homelessness is not only about compassion, it is also about common sense. Individuals experiencing housing instability and homelessness are highly dependent on public services, emergency rooms, and the criminal justice system. Leaving these individuals to suffer on the streets or in shelters drives up costs to taxpayers and strains our systems of care and service. And homelessness is not only about those without a roof to sleep under, but also about having homes people can afford. According to the Census Bureau, Dutchess County's gross median rent in 2018 was nearly $1,200 a month, which would require an annual income of $48,000 to support. 50% of rental households in Dutchess County are above HUD's affordability threshold, and 28% face severe cost burdens. Despite adding 360 new apartments in 2019, 137 of which were affordable, this is the highest amount since before the recession and the third highest number in 37 years, our vacancy rate remains far below what is considered a healthy market. Now, there are signs of change with more than 1,200 new residential rental units under construction in Dutchess County today. But too many families are stretched too thin. Too many landlords are stuck between lack of rental income and eviction proceedings. And this extremely healthy economy is producing too few housing options within reach of lower and middle income families. A home should not be a burden. It should be a place of hope and a launching pad to greater opportunity. A home is not a street corner or crowded shelter. Now, we have the capacity to solve this problem if we act smartly and comprehensively. If we give people a true and real chance at a fulfilling life. Now, please know that we have been playing our part, yet our work has just begun. In 2020, thanks to Hudson River Housing's Fallkill Commons project and Pathstone's Main Street vouchers, individuals who are homeless or at risk of becoming homeless will have access to 55 units of truly affordable housing. The county applied for funding to help struggling families afford permanent housing. And we are working with Siena College to evaluate our system and help improve outcomes. Over the last 8 years, home funding supported the development of 156 units of senior and affordable housing. And in partnership with RUPCO and their development team, the town of Poughkeepsie, the Department of Environmental Conservation, and the United States EPA, we will solve the long-standing issue with the former Schatz federal bearing property, ending our county's subsidy of delinquent tax payments, and more importantly, remediating a potentially serious environmental hazard. Successful development will return this property to our tax rolls and connect with our city trail while providing an estimated 150 units of market and sub-market rate housing. Now, last year, an interdisciplinary team of housing service providers and officials from Dutchess and local governments met to reimagine and reinvigorate how we address homelessness. This team identified areas of concern, including the increased length of stay for those in shelters, cost and inefficiency of placing individuals and families in local motels, lack of diverse housing options, and difficulty in providing service to a dispersed homeless population. To address these concerns, we will take 4 bold steps to reduce the homeless population, provide more effective transitional housing, and increase the available of affordable housing. First, to assist supportive landlords, help individuals in need, and lower the number of evictions, we will establish a housing support center and hotline. This one-stop will centralize our established housing services to provide information and support to those searching for affordable housing, help access available financial assistance, and connect with financial planning and legal services. Second, to reduce the number of individuals directly discharged into shelters, we will engage local hospitals and nursing homes, as well as New York State correctional facilities. to ensure appropriate reentry planning prior to the release of individuals. You would be shocked to learn, actually you might not be shocked to learn, how often New York State's entire release plan is simply to drop an individual off on the steps of the nearest shelter or at a Department of Community and Family Services. Release planning should be proactive and engage appropriate partners early to create stability. And we're working currently with Project More to increase available beds for those leaving prison, state prison. We will seek state support and potential legislation to address this statewide issue. Now, third, to reduce the reliance on costly motels for providing temporary housing, we will develop new centralized transitional housing. Because a more centralized setting will enable service providers to better engage with clients and provide support. Sadly, motel placements, the only option, and by the way, one of the only options New York State subsidizes, costs nearly $2 million a year and limits our capacity to truly help families transition to a permanent home. A new model is required. We will start by prioritizing rapid rehousing for families, and we are working with our partners now to create a centralized transitional housing center. The focus will be on providing temporary housing along with mental health and substance abuse counseling, addressing underlying causes of homelessness. And fourth, to increase access to affordable housing, we must diversify new housing construction. We will work with local municipalities to add zoning language and land use policy to expand rental and housing options. We will engage with builders to earmark market and sub-market rate housing as part of larger projects. And our Department of Planning and Development will train local municipal planning and zoning boards on what affordable housing is and why it's important. To aid in our local investment, we will also leverage Community Development Block Grant funds and our Municipal Innovation Grant to help build infrastructure that supports new affordable housing. For example, the Village of Wappingers Falls is using CDBG funds to build the water and sewer lines and sidewalk to support a two-family home built by Habitat for Humanity. That kind of partnership. We will encourage others to do the same. We will also give priority for county financial assistance to communities that implement housing plans, and, importantly, to organize this effort, we will appoint an individual to lead our entire reimagined housing efforts. Earlier today, we announced a partnership between the City of Poughkeepsie and Dutchess County to create a land bank, with the hopes of transforming vacant lands and abandoned properties into productive uses. Creating a true housing ladder touching all price points from affordable to luxury, providing opportunities for people of all incomes is critical. And the ability to live in a safe, clean, and accessible home must be an option in every corner of Dutchess. Now, I think you know we will not end homelessness in a day or even a year. We will, however, persist. There are success stories and good projects to point to. So we will keep working. Every individual, every family deserves our respect. So we will keep caring. The solution lies within our willingness to try new things and insistence on providing a better life for all Dutchess residents. After a rare and troubling decline in our nation's life expectancy, widely attributed to the opioid epidemic, for the first time in 4 years, Americans are living longer. That's good news. Additionally, according to 2018 data, our nation witnessed its first decline in drug deaths in 28 years. For those following the opioid epidemic, and even more for those who are truly engaged in it, this is welcome news. Now, while there are many trends around the nation we are happy to not be a part of, we are deeply and profoundly glad to be a part of this one. In 2019, we experienced our first year-to-year decline in opioid-related deaths in 5 years. In 2018, there were 93 overdose deaths in Dutchess. Last year, there were 77. 16 fewer lives lost. 16 more families who still have their loved ones. And 16 more people able to seek help and find a path to a more fulfilling life. We are grateful for this bit of good news. However, we know there is so much more, so very much more work to be done to put an end to this destructive epidemic. 77 deaths are far too many, yet there are so many reasons for hope as our community embraces the message and mission of breaking through. Just over 2 years ago, our methadone program reached capacity, highlighting the demand for medication-assisted treatment throughout the county. Thanks to the hard work of our opioid task force, healthcare and treatment providers, and Department of Behavioral and Community Health staff, medication-assisted treatment options are now more diverse, less stigmatizing and restrictive, and more readily available than ever. Last year, the Dutchess County Jail, in partnership with Prime Care, DBCH, and the Lexington Center, began maintaining inmates on medication-assisted treatment, implemented supports for individuals reentering community, and placed Narcan kits in inmates' personal belongings. In 2020, we will further expand medication-assisted treatment for criminal justice-involved individuals, including offering treatment to all inmates who suffer from an opioid use disorder. Now, I am happy to say our hospitals have stepped up to the challenge as well. Studies consistently show that those who receive initial treatment for opioid addiction in the emergency room are more likely to continue that treatment. We are extremely grateful to our partners at Mid-Hudson Regional Hospital and Vassar Brothers Medical Center. And here with us tonight, I'd ask you to join me in recognizing from Mid-Hudson Regional, Gloria Sukar. Thank you for your leadership and partnership in this effort. And we are exceptionally proud to have the partnership of Vassar Brothers Medical Center. You know, that big building on Route 9 along the Hudson River. But as importantly, Vassar Brothers joining us in this effort as well. And I'd like to welcome the new president of Vassar Brothers Medical Center here with us this evening, Joe Mullaney. Thank you, sir, for being here with us. We appreciate it. I know we've met. I know that you've been welcomed with open arms, but we'll all like Tim Massey more. Tim is on the next plane to Florida. Sorry, Tim. We are appreciative of that partnership. Both Vassar Brothers and Mid-Hudson Regional now offer this treatment in their emergency departments, in addition to providing Narcan to opioid-involved patients. This is a momentous change, the culmination of years of outreach and coordination that will have enormous impact on the lives of those struggling with addiction, and they deserve a round of applause for taking that leadership step. Thank you. Connection to medication-assisted treatment is also available at the Stabilization Center, thanks to our system of coordinated care with Mid-Hudson Regional and partnership with HRH Care. Our partnerships with community providers, such as our hospitals, HRH Care, St. Joe's, and others, are critical to the efforts here in Dutchess County. And speaking of the Stabilization Center, a very simple but truly important next step will happen. We are taking the lock off the door, opening our arms to all in need, to all searching for an answer in a time of crisis, for all who want to take their first steps to a better, healthier life. This simple change is symbolic of our overall effort to break down the barriers between help and those seeking it, and to meet people where they are, not where we expect them to be. This was always the Stabilization Center's true purpose, and as it grows and changes, it is finding its way there. And I am grateful to the staff at DBCH for taking this challenge on. Our strategy at the center and in the community supports multiple pathways to recovery. and is sensitive to complex co-occurring mental health and health disorders. Incorporating this philosophy into all of our efforts allows us to intercede and gives us the opportunity to encourage safety and build relationships that lead to long-term recovery. Street outreach is also a critical part of this philosophy. That's why we added a recovery coach on the streets of the city of Poughkeepsie with a meeting space right on Main Street. And as part of the Rural Overdose Disparities Project, in partnership with HRH Care and Next Distro, we added a recovery coach in Eastern Dutchess as well. Let me be among the first to thank Assemblymember Dee Dee Barrett, who I know is represented here this evening. Thanks to her assistance, we will purchase and utilize a mobile help center to serve the Harlem Valley and provide access to mental health and substance use support and treatment all throughout the Route 22 corridor. One of the many lessons of the opioid epidemic is that it affects every race, income level, and family. So we need a network of care that reaches rural, suburban, and urban communities alike. Whether you're on the bustling streets of Poughkeepsie and Beacon, or a quiet back road in eastern Dutchess County, we will be there to offer support, guidance, and a helping hand. The opioid epidemic does not end at municipal boundaries. It doesn't stop at a bridge, town sign, or county line. It is a national, state, and regional problem and requires regional cooperation and coordination. And that's why this year we will host an opioid summit at Marist College with Ulster County. Both counties will share best practices, learn from one another, develop comprehensive solutions, and strengthen our response. After our initial meeting, we will extend this effort to include more counties. For the first time in years, we can see a slight and distant glimmer of light over the horizon, just out of reach. One day, if we persist in our efforts, continue to find strength in each other, and believe in our capacity to change lives, we will see a time where the opioid epidemic is confined to history. A lesson of pitfalls to avoid and new ways to address addiction. But a lesson that is learned and no longer tragically lived. A lesson we embrace as we take on new challenges, but one that does not cost the precious resource of human life. And on that day, we will look back with sadness for those we lost, gratitude for those who offered care, and pride in our community's overwhelming response. But today we will continue to fight, support, and work for those living with addictions and their families. We will continue to ring out a message that Dutchess County is your home, and home is a place to heal. So let us push forward to end the suffering and finally end this epidemic. Each of us shapes the communities in which we live, but our communities are also shape the way we live and the things we value. Our lives are woven by our own hands, our homes built for our own needs. We have a duty to shape our communities, our home, to be welcoming, stable, and safe. This spring, we will launch our new emergency management app, providing information on training, road closures, emergency plans, power outages, shelters, and other critical emergency preparedness information. Also, our Access and Functional Needs Registry will be up and running, enabling first responders to access the unique circumstances of the individuals they're serving, ensuring their safety and enhancing their capacity to assist every individual regardless of ability. To assist school districts and provide parents peace of mind about the safety of their children, the Department of Emergency Response coordinates concept of operation plans and hosts Dutchess County Safe Schools meetings, bringing together district administrators and school resource officers. And later this year, we will implement school bus safety cameras with local school districts to prevent and respond to those who illegally pass school buses. We'll be watching. Volunteers have historically been the lifeblood of our fire and emergency medical services. You know this. It is, of course, and obviously, increasingly more difficult to recruit volunteers, threatening the ability to provide services and ensure the safety of our community. We are enlisting the support of colleges and high schools to incentivize volunteering and launching a public information campaign on the importance of emergency service volunteers. Now, to bolster our ranks, we will need your help to spread the word, to take up the cause, or help put someone on a path to serving their community. Each of us should be a part of making our community, our home, safer and more secure. And I'd ask you tonight to join us in recognizing those men and women in service, both volunteer and career, in emergency medical and fire services all throughout Dutchess County. And if you're here with us tonight, stand up and be recognized. For those of you who are volunteers or career service providers, we're very grateful for your service. And might I say, you might join Senator Serino's efforts to try to reduce some of the regulation New York places on local fire districts and emergency medical providers, because it is a crushing burden on these departments and districts, and they need that relief. Now, we're building a community that takes care of our most vulnerable and serves those who have sacrificed for us all. Through investment in home care, home-delivered meals, and transportation services, we are giving our seniors the choice to age at home. Our enhanced handyman program, a collaboration between the Office for the Aging and Rebuilding Together, will provide minor home repairs and accessibility modifications for our clients. Our transit review will lead to more robust transportation options for seniors, veterans, and those differently abled. This community will never stop repaying our veterans for their service and their sacrifice. Last year, Marist Professor and Poughkeepsie VFW Post Commander Tommy Zerhelen walked from Portland, Oregon to Poughkeepsie. That's a long walk. To raise awareness and money to combat veteran homelessness, mental illness, and suicide. To help address these issues, we created the Tommy Zerhelen Fund to provide one-time emergency assistance to veterans in need, helping them pay for rent, electric bills, or car repairs. And we will again support Senator Sue Serino's fight to restore state funding for the successful private Dwyer vet-to-vet mediation program. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an embarrassment, and I say with due respect, that the state executive budget, year in and year out, does not include this critical funding. Republicans and Democrats in the state legislature have come year in and year out to restore that funding. It shouldn't be this hard. And we're thankful to Senator Serino and Assemblymember Barrett for their continued advocacy for this funding. Thank you both. Now would be a good time also to remind ourselves that we live in a dangerous world. And as much as we pray for those folks in leadership to make sound decisions, I know that you keep in your hearts and minds those who serve across the globe. Tonight, there are men and women in service in danger, sacrificing on our behalf, and their families wait at home with worry or concern. And of course, here in our community are countless individuals who, for generations, have served in military service across the world over. I'd ask those of you who are veterans, who did serve in the United States military, to stand, and I'd ask all of us to come together and kindly extend our appreciation and gratitude to these American heroes. Together, this county is also confronting sexual assault and domestic violence. We've added an additional $100,000 to the county budget for specialized training for law enforcement and expanded outreach and prevention throughout the community. We expanded financial support to the Hyde Park Police Department to maintain their domestic abuse response team advocate. DART is now in 4 police agencies throughout Dutchess County, and we're happy to support them. And Dutchess is one of 4 counties in the United States chosen to pilot the Intimate Partner Violence Intervention Program, aimed at early intervention and preventing escalating acts of violence. Ladies and gentlemen, it may go without having to be said that we live in a time of great anxiety and fear. In the dark crevices of our society, hate grows. Its roots slither under the surface at first, but eventually, and violently, wind their way into the open. Hate can be stealthy and subtle, but never peaceful. Last year's brutal attack on a Hasidic rabbi's home just across the Hudson River during a Hanukkah celebration shocked us all. Anti-Semitism is an old and insidious hatred, allowed time and time again to fester in the shadows, where it waits to contort ignorance, anger, and fear into ugly ideologies, dangerous thoughts, and deadly acts. Yet hatred has never stopped with just one ism. It is an insatiable curse, searching for more races, ethnicities, orientations, and religious beliefs to threaten and attack. We, together, must confront hate. We must bring those who spew hatred and commit acts of violence and degradation to justice. But we must also do more. We must seek to correct a society that allows such evil to be spread. Of course, we know there is only one true cure for hatred, and that is love. Love for oneself, love for one's family, for one's neighbor, love for one's community, love for one's country. Love. Love bears all things, and it is born from understanding. And mutual understanding is what we foster through the work of our Human Rights Commission. We reestablished the Commission in 2016 to help heal divides, root out discrimination, and hold open and honest dialogues where people are heard. This year, we will further amplify the work of the Commission, moving it from our Human Resources Department to the Department of Behavioral and Community Health, a more public-facing organization with more resources and more experience working directly with residents and organizations. This will also allow the Commission to take on new tasks and contribute to ongoing efforts within its new home to strengthen community resiliency and improve cultural competencies. As the Commission starts a new chapter in its new home, Dutchess County will also strive to meet the ideals we espouse. We will hire an equal opportunity and inclusion officer to increase the diversity of our county workforce and the 73 municipal workforces we oversee. Now, these changes are only the beginning. And not to keep asking you to do the hard work, we will need your help again. Government does not make a community or a home. People do. People make a home. And so I ask all of us to be respectful to one another, act when we see injustice, speak up in the face of hate, forgive even when it's difficult, and cherish our open community. And if these big conversations seem daunting, it is because they can be. So instead, start with something simple, yet sadly radical. Have the everyday conversations. Act small. Talk to your neighbors. Shovel their sidewalk. Greg, shovel their sidewalks. In between plowing the fields. Invite them to a barbecue. Talk about the weather. Complain about the Mets. Help them carry their groceries. Set treats out for the delivery person. It was Eleanor Roosevelt who said, "Where, after all, do universal rights begin? In small places close to home." Our small acts, our small conversations in the small places count for something much greater in the end. One small act begets another, and you're no longer independently acting. Rather, you become part of a movement, like what we've achieved and accomplished through thinking differently. We began our Think Differently initiative in 2015 to build a more inclusive community for our friends and neighbors living with disabilities. We asked residents, businesses, and community groups to change the way they think about and interact with those with special needs. We've enhanced the lives of thousands of residents and visitors, all while changing the hearts and minds of even more in our community.
We take her along to events we might not have planned for our 6-year-old daughter who has Down syndrome. We're going as a family, so she's coming along, and she always shows us she could do more than even we thought she could do.
You get to see all the advantages of people with or without a disability.
It's a very simple but clear message. It doesn't demand too much of you to think differently. We all should be able to do that, and we all can.
It's seeing differently, it's thinking differently. She's accepted everywhere. It's a wonderful feeling.
Thinking differently about those with disabilities has grown into a crusade of compassion, proving the smallest acts can make the biggest difference in a person's life. Join us in our mission to break down barriers and create real opportunities for everyone of every ability. Stand with us, work with us, be proud to think differently. I hope you know that together this community has built something truly beautiful. And every day, every week, every month, we seek to expand the reach and footprint of Think Differently. And we're at it again. In partnership with the Marist College Red Foxes, we will host a sensory-sensitive basketball game next season, preferably against Chris Gibson's Siena College. Go Red Foxes. We're very grateful to that partnership, and I'd like to recognize Tim Murray, Deborah DiCaprio, and Andy Alonji, who are here from Marist. We're thankful for this partnership and for your leadership. Congratulations and thank you. Did I say go Red Foxes? Yeah, okay. Think Differently Thursday at the County Fair will include more events throughout the day. And for the entire week, the Agricultural Society and Fair Director Andy Imperati will provide sensory-sensitive cool-down spaces and locations with greater accessibility. And I think Andy is with us here tonight. Andy, thank you for your leadership. We're grateful. I'm going to go off script just to say several years ago, Andy was very supportive, but also it's a big facility. And it has a lot of moving parts, and was concerned we wouldn't be able to incorporate all the things we wanted to. I think it was last year, Andy was like the star at the National Fairs Conference when they all came up to him and said, "How did you do it? We want to do it." First county fair in America to be accessible in this way, first county fair in America to be sensory sensitive, and now there are now 2 more in New York State that have joined the crusade. Thanks, Andy, and thanks all the staff at the Dutchess County Fair. We're grateful that in partnership with Cornell Cooperative Extension, they're showing what it means to think differently as we integrate those with disabilities into 4-H groups. And our own Hudson Valley Renegades are joining our Think Jobs initiative, creating job opportunities at Dutchess Stadium, giving kids and adults of all abilities the opportunity to learn by doing, with mentors and help improve our community. And I am very proud. This June, we will again welcome the Special Olympics New York Summer Games home to Dutchess. As with them, we celebrate their historic 50th anniversary. Now, registration for volunteers begins on March 11th. I encourage you to be a part of somebody's dream, be a game changer, involve yourselves. We need volunteers to do anything. So, Nick Page, we need people to move chairs and set up seating. Greg, we need folks to direct people in the right direction. And let's see, Matt Martini, if you don't feel like you can do anything else, we need you to clap for people. Fans in the stands, very valuable. You and Jonah Treeboisser can cheer on somebody along the way. We hope that you will sign up and join us. And absolutely, it will absolutely change and make their day, and I promise you, change their life. Now, through our continued efforts, we are building a community of inclusion, more accessible and more welcoming to all who call it home. I think we know that home is a place to grow. It is where children should have the opportunity to learn, discover, and be loved, where you take your first steps and learn how to walk through life. It is the first stone in a long path to success. And for those who have such a home, and for those who don't, we seek to make sure every child has a foothold to begin their climb to reach their full potential. To lead our Path to Promise forward, we appointed Carmen Smallwood, Assistant Commissioner for Youth Services. After a year gathering input from young people throughout the county, Carmen, in partnership with the Path to Promise Subcommittee and the Steering and Innovation Team, has set an ambitious goal for 2020. In an effort to increase engagement with the community and to support grassroots youth organizations, Path to Promise will provide mini-grants for small projects that address some measurable aspect of childhood and youth development. Now, Path to Promise relies on youth involvement. Nothing about me without me is the motto guiding our work. In 2019, we engaged with our youth throughout the county, but we are still working every day to ensure every young person has a voice in our efforts and is being heard. We will increase engagement by holding youth influencer forums, more fully integrate Path to Promise into the annual Youth Summit, and develop an interactive Path to Promise workshop. To address a need identified by our community partners to promote positive youth development and ensure the quality of services, we are establishing a positive youth development credentialing program. With universal standards and training support, we will elevate working with young people and treat it as the critical and valued profession that it is. Now, as we looked across the nation for models of success in transforming young people's lives, we found a common thread: the central role data played in developing and tracking solutions. By this summer, we will have Phase 1 of the Path to Promise website up and running, a user-friendly, searchable asset database of available youth services. For Phase 2, we are creating an online data dashboard to track indicators and drive solutions related to youth success and well-being. We've formed an interdisciplinary team to identify smart performance indicators and are working with a technology firm that designed a system for the renowned Harlem Children's Zone. By the end of 2020, we will issue an RFP for the creation of this dashboard and analytic tool. Our children's future is our most precious commodity. We can ensure their future is bright by building a better, stronger, safer, and more stable community and home. Most importantly, let us seek to be better examples to our children by respecting one another, embracing empathy, standing up for what we believe in, and being kind. No program or policy will ever replace good role models, good parents, good families, good teachers, good neighbors, and good homes. Now, good jobs help sustain stable and secure homes. Fulfilling work makes for fulfilled people. Our economy, this economy, is strong. With under 3.5% unemployment, 27 consecutive months of private sector job growth, 10% increase in average wages since 2015, approximately 3,000 net new jobs, and nearly $5 billion in development underway right now. Dutchess County's economy is more competitive, more dynamic, and more diverse than ever. On Semiconductor is investing more than $400 million in its new facility in East Fishkill. Brumation is expanding. Hyde Park 84 has repurposed more than 335,000 square feet of formerly vacant space and attracted 15 new businesses, including 10 manufacturers. Aminia's Silo Ridge acquired an additional 500 acres to develop an equestrian center, bringing the total project investment to $800 million. IBM, our IBM, reported revenue for the Poughkeepsie-made Z systems were up 62%, And IBM's first quantum computation center right here in Poughkeepsie is now the home of 3 quantum computers. Don't ask me to explain what they do. But it's cold in there, that I know. Our education industry is expanding as well, with Vassar College investing $60 million, creating the Vassar Institute for the Liberal Arts, attracting scholars and leaders from around the world. This new institute will house a hotel and conference center. And Marist College will break ground this spring on a $40 million expansion of the Dyson Center. Now, while our economy has grown stronger with record low unemployment, for those out of work, struggling to pay their bills, put food on their tables, the unemployment rate may well be 100%. This is why we are investing more in workforce development, making record levels of investment in Dutchess Community College, to give people a pathway to opportunity and a ladder to a better and brighter future. Last year, we broke ground on our new hangar for DCC's airframe and power plant program, providing students with in-demand skills for high-paying jobs. In partnership with the Council of Industry, the college will establish the Hudson Valley Manufacturing Workforce Center at DCC's new Dutchess South in Fishkill. And our Workforce Investment Board is embarking on the first ever comprehensive countywide workforce training and development. We are blessed with a dynamic and diverse educational industry, and I'd ask you to join with me in acknowledging the leadership at Marist, Vassar, the Culinary Institute, Bard College, and of course our very own Dutchess Community College. Thank you. There is certainly a lot to be excited about, and we continue to find ways to improve our shared economic outlook. An aggressive tourism promotion effort will again bring concerts to our parks, celebrations to our communities, and millions of people to Dutchess, bringing with them hundreds of millions of dollars spent at our local businesses, supporting local communities, and countless families who call Dutchess home. Film production will keep Dutchess County and all that makes us distinct on the big screen, your televisions, and streaming across platforms worldwide. Our tourism promotion industry and our tourism promotion apparatus is the envy of New York State. And believe me, I traveled a lot around New York State. Dutchess Tourism is by far the premier organization for tourism promotion across the state of New York. And it has their staff and board to be thankful to. But for 26 years, in one capacity or another, Dutchess County has been blessed, and Dutchess tourism has been made better. And quite frankly, the story of Dutchess has been told and retold brilliantly, thanks to the leadership of Mary Kay Verba. Who, after 26 years of service to Dutchess tourism, will conclude this chapter of her life and retire from Dutchess tourism. Apparently, she is going to be taking up cooking. I'm just happy I won't have to carry her luggage any longer. Ladies and gentlemen, join me again in saying thank you, Mary Kay. Our own investment in the arts in partnership with Artsman Hudson and others will be used to expand audiences, support young and emerging artists, inspire new performances, productions, and programs, and help enrich the lives of so many throughout our community. And how sick was Ilharmonic? I practiced that. Did you like Ilharmonic? They were tremendous. We are grateful to them for performing, but as importantly, we're grateful to Tim McQueen, who continues to act as a role model, inspiring and encouraging young people to invest in what they believe is important to them, to be creative and innovative, and to find a path to success as they define it. We are grateful to Ilharmonic, and Tim, wherever you are, congratulations and thank you. My kids said that wasn't going to be taken very well. They are sick. I have no idea what any of it means. I just said it. I think it means you're really, really good. That's what I heard. That's what I heard. Thank you. Thanks. County government, Dutchess County government, can be found in every corner of Dutchess, but we are most concentrated in the city of Poughkeepsie along Market Street. This is the seat of county government, and the main crossroad in the city of Poughkeepsie. For years, because of the complex nature and significant costs, the redevelopment of Market Street has been left on the drawing boards. At no fault of the city, plans have been collecting dust while the roadway, drainage, and sidewalks have been slowly deteriorating. In 2020, that will come to an end. In partnership with Poughkeepsie, through a city-led community engagement process, we will reimagine, redesign, and redevelop this critical corridor. From reestablishing two-way traffic to implementing traffic calming designs, new curbing, more pedestrian-friendly, and ADA-compliant sidewalks and crosswalks, we will get it done. This long-awaited, long-term project will require us to seek local, state, and federal resources. And while Mayor Rollison and I know it is complicated, we agree it is necessary to transforming this block, supporting business development, enhancing the historic nature of this neighborhood, repairing aging infrastructure, and continuing to propel Poughkeepsie forward. And we are grateful. We are grateful to the leadership team at the City Council and to the Mayor's office, and we look forward to this partnership. If Dutchess is a home for all of us, then our parks are our shared backyard. With over 1,000 acres and nearly 40 miles of parks and trails, we have a pretty awesome backyard, so long as you don't have to mow it. Yeah, it's a dad joke. Didn't land very well. All joking aside, I guess you could say that if you thought you were telling a joke. All joking aside, our parks are a critical component of who we are and how we live. They connect us and define our sense of place. As we grow and change as a community, it's important our parks reflect those changes. With the design underway of our urban rail trail, successful acquisition of the Lake Walton Preserve, and the completion of our Parks Master Plan, 2020 will be a transformational year for our park system. Design development of the Lake Walton Preserve into a universally accessible park is underway, to include connections to the Dutchess Rail Trail, the construction of the loop walking path around the lake, and viewing areas. So many have fond memories of Lake Walton, but the years have taken their toll on this natural resource. We continue to monitor the health of the lake and will conduct a detailed water assessment. And with our investment, attention, and care, the Lake Walton Preserve will be a place for all to enjoy nature's beauty. The trail along the former CSX rail corridor in the city and town of Poughkeepsie is in the early stages of design. This unique linear park will connect neighborhoods, local businesses, restaurants, educational institutions, major developments, and playgrounds to the walkway over the Hudson and rail trail network, also enhancing riverfront access. And with riverfront access in mind, in addition to the development of the Lake Walton Preserve, we will propose to the legislature completion of my favorite park. Shh, don't tell the other parks. Quiet Cove. In fact, be quiet when you're there. You're disturbing people. Late in 2018, we finished several projects at Quiet Cove, adding another waterfront deck, the ability to offer kayak rentals through an ADA-accessible launch, and upgrades to the historic Naval Boathouse. Next, we will open up the view shed. We will complete a new parking area on the river side of the tracks, and with support from the developers of Hudson River Heritage, redefine the entrance, improve vehicular and pedestrian access, expand capacity, and broaden connection to the Hudson River. The Hudson River is the lifeblood of the Hudson Valley, a sacred source of water, life, and beauty. Perhaps the most culturally, ecologically, economically, and historically significant waterway in America. It deserves our continued commitment. And that is why earlier today, in partnership with Ulster, Orange, Greene, Albany, and Columbia counties, Dutchess County filed our amicus brief with the U.S. District Court in support of the state's lawsuit against the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency's decision to grant GE a certificate of completion on PCB cleanup. They are not done. We will seek to hold those responsible accountable for the full restoration and revitalization of our beloved river. The river is meant to be enjoyed, and it is integral not only to our sense of place, but the development of our economy and communities. We remain deeply concerned by Amtrak's proposal to fence off the Hudson River shoreline in our northern Dutchess communities. You can clap for that. You share our concern. We share your concern. This proposal will limit access, destroying viewsheds and hindering development along the river. To provide a course of action that can be supported by river lovers and key stakeholders in Dutchess, Columbia, and Rensselaer counties, Scenic Hudson is developing a Hudson River shoreline access plan. I'd encourage you to voice your concerns and contribute to this effort by visiting hudsonriveraccess.org. Seems like everybody has a website these days. hudsonriveraccess.org. We have so few opportunities to undo the damage and so many to prevent future impacts to our treasured natural resources. We will not let this moment pass. The Hudson River, however, is not the only waterway in need of our help. Its tributaries, such as the Wappingers Creek, are important parts of our heritage and ecosystem. These lesser-known waterways are critical to many communities, and many are in need of revitalization and protection. The Wappinger Creek watershed is experiencing deteriorating water quality and reductions in flood storage capacity. To address this and similar concerns, we will direct Partnership for Manageable Growth funding to projects that address active waterways by including requirements for buffers or active management practices to avoid contamination. And to assist the village of Wappingers Falls and help upstream communities, we asked the EPA to consider expanding the lower Wappinger Creek Superfund site cleanup area to include Wappinger Lake. And we are coordinating a regional approach to tributary and watershed protection by bringing together Clearwater, Riverkeeper, Scenic Hudson, and Ulster County. We will offer training and create a Greenway Compact Guide to provide a clear direction for municipal leaders on how they can protect watersheds and water sources. We will add stormwater and runoff management to our community development block grant priorities to avoid overburdening sewer systems. The Hudson River and its many tributaries are the waters that connect us. They run along and through our towns and villages. They've powered industry and spurred development. They've inspired artists and movements. Our waterways have given our community peace, joy, and life, and we must do all we can to ensure they live on forever. I think you know I take pride in this place we call home, in our people and our spirit. I take pride in our institutions, in our commitment to one another. For what is a home if not a place where you know everyone who lives under that shared roof loves you, believes in you, and supports you? I take pride in the people who toil every day to make this county, this community, a better place to live, work, and raise a family. Our teachers, police officers, firefighters, volunteers, activists, artists, farmers, and business owners. I take pride in our parents who strive to make a better life for our children. I take pride in the longtime resident who built their home here and the newcomer, just laying down their foundation. I take pride in the men and women of Dutchess County Government. I take pride in this place, in its rivers and streams, hills and valleys, its main streets, village halls, and country miles. I love this place, and I know that we are not perfect. We are not free of challenges or devoid of problems. We don't always get it right. But in Dutchess, we don't run from our problems, shrink from our challenges, or hide our mistakes. When called upon, we act. When challenged, we rise. When we fail, we try again. We know we are building a home, the starting point in the race of life. We strive to make it a fair start, where when the horn sounds in this grand race, every person of every ability and background is standing shoulder to shoulder on that starting line. We know home is where one starts from. It is where we begin, where we launch our lives. We cannot hope to overcome our greatest challenges, solve our most intractable problems, without the opportunity provided by a true home, a loving and supportive place where one can dare to dream, where we can disagree but come together, where we can heal and grow, where we are free to fail and find a path to greater promise. Home is where we begin, And as T.S. Eliot wrote so poignantly, in my beginning is my end. And in my end is my beginning. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us begin. May God bless us, and may He bless Dutchess County and the United States of America. Thank you. Thanks, Sheriff. Thank you, everybody.